Welcome to the Inspiration North podcast, inspiring stories from inspirational people and how they found their passion, their true north. I'm James Eves.
And I'm Michelle Minikin, and this is the Inspiration North podcast.
Today's episode, finding out where you're meant to be with Hannah Brooke. We talk about how posting a photo of her children got things rolling, meeting 270 families on their doorsteps thanks to lockdown, and how nobody has a global pandemic in their business plan.
Hannah is a Yorkshire-based photographer specialising in documenting families and weddings. Her photographs are joyful, expressive and warmhearted. She lives in Wetherby with her husband, 2 children aged 6 and 4 and a black Labrador. She decided to go pro with her photography in 2017 after a poor return from maternity leave and a lightbulb moment that she could take a good photo. She built her business up for 2.5 years alongside a different day job and finally took the plunge into full-time self-employment in the midst of a global pandemic. No, she did not see that one coming.
Thank you ever so much for joining us today, Hannah. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. James, good?
Yep, good to meet you.
Good, nice to meet you too.
Awesome. It's been 20 years or something since we last spoke in real life.
I know. Probably a drunken night in the Palace or whatever it was called, wasn't it?
Or Manakee.
Nightclub.
Not the actual palace.
Oh, yes,
Buckingham
no.
Palace.
No, it was Royal Palace. No, it was a seedy nightclub, probably.
Yeah, nightclub in Sunderland. We used to dance on the speakers, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
Very classy.
I think it was like a tenner to go in and it was all you can drink was for free, wasn't it?
I dread to think. I really do.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Okay.
Fun times though. Good
Yeah.
times.
So,
Let's go with the first question. If we go back to childhood then, did you know what you wanted to be when you grow up?
Well, I had a plan, and that was to be a nurse. So all the way through school, I was going to be a nurse. That's all I wanted to do, was care for people. And then as I got a bit older and it got towards choosing my options, I chose subjects that related to that for the A-levels, and it came to choosing my degree. And I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't go ahead with going through with applying for a nursing degree. So I went and did English literature instead. So I guess I'm that classic person who just didn't really know what she wanted to be when she grew up. And it took me until I was 38 to really figure that out.
Why English then?
Sorry.
Why English? What was it about that?
Because I was good at it.
It's a good,
I literally
good place to
looked
start.
at the subject that I was best at school and decided to go ahead and study that. And I knew that having a degree in a kind of classic subject wouldn't stand me in any, it wouldn't be bad for me, it wouldn't harm my future career. But it was the fact that I just didn't know what to do and wanted to go and get a degree. I think a lot of the problem was that I always thought I had to go down a really vocational route. All the careers advice that I seem to have been given throughout my childhood was tailored towards you either went away and became a nurse or a teacher or something like that. And when I left university, I actually applied for the police. Didn't get in, not enough life experience. Applied again, got in, and then was put into some sort of waiting pool for about 6 months. And during that time, changed my mind. And I knew that that was a career that you had to be like 150% sure about. You know, you couldn't go into it unsure. So I decided to stick with what I was doing at that point, which was working in HR. I wish that I'd known more about business type roles when I was growing up, and I wish that I'd known that there was an option to do creative roles. It just, those options were things that I never really heard about, never really spoke about, etc.
No, it is. It's tricky. So anything in business, it was like you had to be a profession.
That's right.
So yeah, it's always it had to put you in a box.
Yeah. So I tried to put myself in a couple of those boxes, and then it just didn't feel right for me at all. So I knew very definitely at the times what I didn't want to do, but I still didn't have the answer to what I did want to do. So after university, I fell into recruitment because my friend worked at an agency and she referred me. Worked in recruitment for a few years, moved into HR, and that felt like a reasonable fit because I'm very personable and love working with people. So I thought that would be my career and that would be it for the rest of my life. But I never loved it. It never kind of really set my heart and soul on fire.
It was just a job.
Yeah, and so therefore I never really progressed, because I suppose to the people above me that was probably evident that I didn't love it, and I was frustrated because I wasn't ever really getting very far. And now I kind of, you know, hindsight's a brilliant thing, isn't it? I can look back and see that from their perspective.
But don't you find it's difficult when if you're in a role that's you're not really passionate about, you're already thinking about it Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
I find it personally quite difficult to then actually be open-minded enough or creative enough to say, I could do something else, this isn't forever. But then there's kind of your responsibility, isn't there, of, well, I've got bills to pay, I've got kids.
Right. Yeah.
Does that kind of resonate?
It does. And I wish I'd taken some more risks earlier on in my career. You know, like when I was 22, I had the opportunity to stay in a ski resort and just enjoy life and be a chalet girl, and I never took it because I thought, oh no, I've got rent to pay. And I just wish I'd just been a bit more risky then, and maybe done a bit more travelling, soul searching, all of those things to find out what I wanted to be. But I just went straight into work and went from one wrong fit to the other. I wasn't unhappy. I wasn't unhappy in HR for most of that time at all. And, you know, I met some really lovely people, learnt lots. It wasn't a bad fit. It just wasn't the right fit.
Yeah. It's hard working in HR though. There's so much pressure from everybody. Everything's always your fault, isn't it? Yeah. And some of the things that you have to do just aren't very nice. You know, making people redundant is not a fun thing to do. No, we're helping a couple of organisations with making sure that that's as pleasant as possible for the people. Yeah. But it's not fun at all. No. And, you know, quite often I found that HR people generally tend to not look after themselves as well. So they're so busy looking after everybody else, trying to make those, you know, horrible processes as humane as possible, but they're not looking after themselves at all. That's right, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, so I keep telling off my friends that are going through having to do that at the moment. Would you just do something for yourself? Yeah, it can't be good times in HR at the moment. No, definitely not. Definitely not. Because they're expected to know all the answers as well, aren't they? It's like nobody knows anything. Yep. Okay, so you're in HR roles, not particularly progressing, not hating it, but not loving it. So what was it that made you think no? So I returned to work from my second maternity leave, and I'd had my first baby 2014, went back to work after I think I had 9 months off, and I had a plan. I was doing a job that I really enjoyed, which was a talent manager role prior to that maternity leave, and I had a plan to go back as a job share with another girl who was in the same department, due back at the same time. And the week before we were due to return, that was pulled from under us. Wow. I won't go into loads of detail about that because it's kind of irrelevant, but I was plonked into a different job that would fit 3 days a week working. It wasn't anything that I wanted to do. It didn't play to my strengths, and it was really demotivating. I wouldn't have ever applied for that job internally or externally. But it was deemed appropriate because I wanted to work 3 days. And at the time, that was the priority. You know, I had a little baby at home that I wanted to spend time with. You don't get that time back, do you? No. But I wasn't myself. So also, I knew that I wanted to have a second baby fairly quickly. So fell pregnant again, had another baby 2 years later. And then after that maternity leave, the thought of going back just
wasn't good. So I'd agreed with my husband that I'd give it 6 months. And in that time, I was kind of doing everything I could to really do the soul searching that I wish I'd done when I was about 22. To think about what skills and talents I had, because I'd kind of forgotten myself during that time. You know, I felt like I was just a mum.
Yeah.
And I'd seen that an ex-colleague had launched a course online called Game Changers, and it was aimed at mums who knew that they needed a change, but they weren't really sure what. So the course was aimed to give you the tools to do the thinking about your skills and your talents and your strengths and passions. Because I'd signed up for that course, I'd started thinking ahead of time about what I was good at, what I enjoyed, and I'd drawn myself a little spider diagram. And I actually thought I was going to go down the road of writing, because I really enjoy writing, I love blogging. And then when I looked back at the spider diagram, I'd realised that I'd written taking photographs on 2 different parts of that, but I still hadn't joined the dots. And then maybe a week or 2 later, I take pictures of everything. Michelle will testify to this. I take a lot of photos, always have done. It's not a new thing. But a couple of weeks later, I think I took a picture of the kids in the bath. And the point of it was that I'd survived a week of solo parenting while my husband was away with work. But the comments that I got back when I posted it online were all along the lines of, oh, I wish you'd come and take some pictures of my kids. You're brilliant at taking, you know, you take such amazing photos. We'd had professional photographs taken after our second baby was born, and it just got me thinking. It was just like a real light bulb moment. I've never really had one of those before that, where I just thought, yeah, actually, I do take a good photograph. I do enjoy it. I should buy a camera, a proper camera, and see what I can do about that. So I did.
So back in 2017?
Yeah, it was around Easter 2017. So I had a really nerve-wracking conversation with my husband, because bless him, he's been through me with various ideas across the years. And I said to him that I think I want to be a photographer, and I just expect him to laugh. And he was just really supportive and said, okay, fine, well, why don't you email our wedding photographer and the person that took the family photographs and get some advice on the right camera to buy, and then we'll look into it. And you have to, if you're going to invest some money, then you have to take it seriously. So that was that.
Ooh.
So I bought the camera and did not know how to use it. Took it up for a weekend in Scotland with my friend and promised lots of amazing photographs, and I came back and every single one was just bright white and overexposed everything.
Oh no.
Yeah, because I just didn't know how it worked. So that taught me that I needed to do some technical training and just learn how to use the thing.
It's like all the gear, no idea.
That's right, that was me. 100%. And I've always said this about myself: I'm not the most technical photographer in the world. I've got the eye, and I am learning the technical things, but I'll never get involved in the nerdy chat about all the technical things, because it intimidates me a little bit. So yeah, I went on a course at Leeds College of Art 5 Saturdays through the summer and learnt how to use the camera. And I was like the one in the class who always had the silly questions, always had the worst results. Yeah, I think this teacher was very surprised when I set up my business.
There's no such thing as a stupid question when you're learning stuff, there is there?
Exactly. No. It never made me feel like that. It was me. It was a lack of confidence, I think. Then the next step was to put a call out on my social media asking for models, people that were willing to let me take photographs of the families, and turns out there was loads of people willing to do that for free. So I did a few portfolio building shoots, and I was always working to a timeline of about, for some reason I was working towards 18 months before I thought I would start charging money. And suddenly, out of the blue, somebody contacted me and said, can I book a shoot with you? So, and that was that autumn. So I'd had my 6 months of learning and practicing. So I said, okay, and cobbled together an introductory price, and that was that.
Pricing is so hard, isn't it?
It's really hard. Yeah, it is. It's still something that I struggle with now.
Yeah, I keep saying to James we should do fun-based pricing. So if it's going to be somebody we love working with, it'll be cheaper than somebody we don't really love working with.
Yeah.
He doesn't let me do that though.
No. It's about charging your worth, isn't it?
Yes.
Definitely. It's almost like with each new client, it's like, oh, I'll just drop another 100 on there. Oh, they didn't make any comment whatsoever. Okay.
Yeah.
New pricing.
It's the worst when they go, oh, that's really reasonable. I'm like, no.
I know. And you think, oh, I should have charged more. So, yeah, I took my first professional booking in the October 2017. And then in the January, someone contacted me, somebody I knew, and said, I'm getting married in a few months. Can you photograph my wedding? So I said, well, I've never ever photographed a wedding in my life, but I'd like to give it a go. And she said, yeah, I want you to do it. I love your photographs. So again, put together an introductory price because I didn't want it to reflect the fact it was my first one, but also it's a lot of work. I didn't want it to be a complete waste of my time. And that was the next light bulb moment, was photographing that wedding, standing at the front behind the registrars, clicking away. I really felt strongly like that was what I was supposed to be doing with my life.
Can you draw the comparison between when you look back and think, oh, I've got all this experience working with people, now I can take that to photography?
Absolutely. And I think it really helps because I'm not just a photographer, I'm running a photography business. So you have to have a bit of business acumen. Otherwise you're going to fail. You're not going to be able to price yourself properly, deal with people professionally. So I think half of it is taking good photo and half of it is being able to run a business and deal with people appropriately. So yeah, definitely I can see that the 15 years in HR has absolutely not been a waste of time. It's kind of like the foundations towards running my own business.
Because I'm speculating here, but I imagine with asking the right questions and building a bit of rapport, the energy and mood you can create and help to bring out in photographs. I'm speculating.
Yeah, and that's what I've always had a reputation for, is being able to put people at ease really quickly. The couple that booked me to photograph that first wedding was so camera shy. To say that they were paying money to have someone come and photograph their big day, and then they kept saying at various intervals, oh, we hate having our photos taken. And you think, well, why? why have you invested all this money? But it's because people want to have lovely memories on record of their big day, and it's not always for them, it's for their parents and grandparents and children to look back on as well, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I've always had that reputation, and I do. When I used to have my appraisals in my HR career, and people would say, "What are your strengths?" I'd say, "Oh, it's building relationships and teamwork." So even though I'm now a team of one, I still think that's really key.
Definitely.
To success.
Cool. So you were doing all this while you were still working as well?
Oh yeah. Forgot to mention that. Yeah. So the other outcome of Game Changers was that I left the job that was making me feel really unhappy, and I got a different job, which was a 12-month maternity cover, still in HR, different industry. And I left my job of 8 years, permanent job, without a second thought, really, because I just knew that it was wrong for me and it was making me feel really quite unhappy. And I thought that the 12-month maternity cover would just bridge the gap.
Yeah,
that became a permanent job quite quickly. And I actually really liked it. I really loved working there and dealing with the people I dealt with. So leaving and making the decisions to become fully self-employed was much more of a wrench than I expected it to be. But equally, I don't think I'd have got as far with the photography if I'd have stayed where I was, because I wouldn't have been as happy and therefore wouldn't have attracted customers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So
it's kind of the entrepreneur's dilemma, isn't it? Of, I found what my passion is.
Yeah.
And it's transitioning from the security to say, well, if I put my full-time effort into this, I can bring my income up to a level that's not quite as certain, but it's that dilemma, isn't it?
That's right. Right. So I did do all the preparation and planning, and I had income planned into my 2020 diary that was what I thought was guaranteed to give me a really smooth first year into self-employment. And I resigned at the beginning of 2020.
3 months notice.
Thinking that I had a great plan. And all of the things that I thought would be an issue, like missing my colleagues and working alone and getting used to this new way of life, I never once thought about a global pandemic. Funnily enough.
I'm sure it wasn't in many strategic planning workshops.
No, never mentioned. Interesting.
It's funny though, like looking back, sort of Christmas in China and all that stuff. It wasn't, it wasn't beyond the realms of possibility, but none of us planned for it.
No, I thought it was going to be like Ebola, where it was in a different country and it was awful and, really horrifying to watch on the news. Mm-hmm. And a couple of cases came into the UK, but I just didn't think it would affect me.
No.
So naive.
Yeah, we all were.
Yep.
The positive, however, I always like looking for the positive. When you get through a year like 2020 as your first year in business, you're like, piece of cake. Yeah. Anything from now on, doddle.
Isn't that the truth?
Are you seeing these funny sort of pictures on Facebook and stuff of them holding a gizmo from the Gremlins underneath water?
Oh yeah.
Oh dear. So,
the thing is, though, if I hadn't have resigned when I did, the original plan was that I was going to resign in September 2020 with a view to finishing at the end of this year. But then the diary got more busy quicker than I expected. And I said to my husband, if I hadn't have resigned when I did, I don't think I would have dared now.
No.
Yes.
But when the pandemic really hit, I was 10 weeks into a 3-month notice period and there was no going back. So I had to just get on with it.
You had 2 more weeks of work left and then...
Yeah.
I remember seeing that on Facebook and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was waiting for that announcement from Rishi Sunak about the self-employed support and it was like, no, I'm not going to get anything because I fall through that gap of being too new to business. So
I was going to ask, so what did you then do to say, there are not going to be weddings held, we can't get groups of people together with proximity. So what did you have to do to adapt?
So I did doorstep photography, which was originally, it was really just to scratch that creative itch that I had to go out and photograph people, which I think is probably something only other photographers would relate to. I do remember at the beginning reading or listening to something on a podcast to the tune of, now's the time to just build your community. So I thought, okay, right, I need to build an online community because, of course, I can't build a community in person because of lockdown. So I looked at ways to do that and didn't really come up with anything. And in the midst of thinking, right, I just need to go out and take some photographs, I'd asked some of the school mums, did they fancy a doorstep picture? Because I'd seen them online, wondered if people would be interested. Did some, posted them on my social media pages, and suddenly I had people contacting me from all over the place, in the local area, of course, asking me, well, would you consider coming this far? Would you be able to get here? I've just had a baby. Would you consider coming to my doorstep and photographing me? And it had gone from something that I just wanted to do as a bit of fun for myself to another light bulb moment where I thought, okay, this is going to be my business from now on. Well, for now, not forever. And I just had to suddenly adapt. So charged a really nominal amount for them, probably not enough, but I wanted to make them accessible to everybody who wanted them. And kind of figured out that if I did those at a fairly high volume, that it would be enough to help my little business survive its first month of full business. So I did 270 of those in the end.
Wow. Did you do them all on your bike as well?
I did quite a lot on my bike. Where people were saying, can I go to the next town along? And it was still during those early-ish days of lockdown where you weren't supposed to travel in your car. Then I'd go to the next town on my bike and get fit at the same time.
For your 1 hour of exercise.
That's right. Yeah. So that was a massive juggle. So I had about 3 weeks of only being able to go out of the house once a day and trying to fit in doorsteps with getting the kids out, the dog. So when the rules relaxed where you could go out more than one a day, I was like, yeah, so excited. So yeah, that's what I did to just get my little business through this. But it actually turned into more than I expected because it really did build that community. So I felt a little bit like a famous person sometimes. I remember going out on VE Day and I had my camera because I was doing some doorstep photos and people were saying, oh, are you that Hannah Brooke? Can I give you a shout and you come to mine next week? And I was like, yeah. So yeah, I would never have met 270 families under different circumstances in such a condensed period of time.
That's great.
And it just became a way of showing them what I could do in that 10-minute window. And to James's earlier point, I was nailing some really good family shots without the being able to play with the kids and really get them to warm to me beforehand, because you can't do that with social distancing.
No. And I kept throwing my camera in, my phone in his face saying, look at these photos.
Bit for the cycle.
Yeah.
Up to Newcastle, but
it might take you a couple of days.
Yeah. That would get me really fit.
It's bonkers.
We'll pop in on the way back from Northumberland.
Oh, I'll have my hair done by then, so yeah.
And we'll just pretend that it was taken during May.
Yes. Oh, bless you. So have you, I don't know whether I'm making this up, but did you launch an online course as well?
I did, yeah, sorry. So that was the first thing that I did, was because I'd assumed that I could only build a community online. I'd actually been meaning to do this since last year, and I'd written the content and parked it because I was so busy working a day job, trying to run a part-time photography business and look after kids who were 3 and 5 at the time. I just thought I'll just leave that for now. It's one step too far. So lockdown hit and I didn't have a job anymore. So I thought, right, I need to get that content online. So I did that really quickly in the space of a week and just launched that. And
what's that to
do?
I
was pleasantly surprised that people bought it.
So is that the iPhone one?
Yes. Well, smartphone. Let's not discriminate against the Samsungs.
Samsungs and the other ones.
Yeah, the other ones.
Yeah. That's exciting as well.
So yeah, that was good. And again, it just helped me realise that I can make my business adapt to different situations. But it did also make me realise that the reason that I set up this business in the first place was because I love taking photographs. And that was the bit that I really missed. So I'll do a further online course about how to use the DSLR, given that I started this with zero knowledge. But it won't be the main thing that I do in my business, if that makes sense.
No, it's useful to have different income streams, and
definitely.
Yes, we've got an online course pretty much written. Haven't put it online yet though, so yeah, we just need to get our butts into gear and get it done.
Yeah, it is time consuming to get the content on there, but once it's done, isn't it?
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, I delivered it in real life, and so now we're going to chop it up and put it on Tinterweb.
Yeah.
It's a 21 days happiness program.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to make my mum do it because we're going to make some of our friends do it. So guinea pigs. I made a really pretty workbook, so we have to use it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what's the future hold then for Hannah Brooke Photography?
Hopefully loads of bookings. All of the 2020 weddings have been put into 2021. Obviously none of us know what 2021 is going to bring or look like, and we just hope that it's going to be back to some sort of normality. There are a few enquiries floating around for weddings, and I kind of understand people's nervousness for not wanting to make firm bookings at the moment. I don't think I would if I was getting married. So family photographs is the future right now, because one thing that this doorstep project made me realise was that people do really value pictures of their families. So I just realised I had to tailor my offer to capture those people, make sure that I was getting myself in front of those target clients, really. So yeah, lots and lots of family shoots over the summer. And as I say, I'm going to write the content for the DSLR course, because I come across so many people that are parents, or, well, it's not exclusive to parents, but they'll say, oh yeah, I bought a camera when I had my baby, and I just never take it out. They either never take it out of the box, or they never take it off auto. And if you're going to have a fancy camera and never use it out of auto mode, then you might as well just take the pictures on your phone. Because it can do so much more once you understand how to use it.
Yep.
What's great about the doorstep photography is that you have captured a moment in time where all these families will be able to say, oh, that was 2020. And all those weeks we were like stuck in the house, and it'll be a really nice moment in time for everybody to look back on.
Yeah, that's right. And hopefully it will be a one-off, once in our lifetime situation. And it was actually a really surprisingly uplifting project, because we were all really feeling it, we still are worried about the economy and the illness itself, the virus. But in doing that, I was kind of getting out and seeing these little family units that were really sticking together. So it was really, it was a real nice project. Yeah.
That's brilliant. So we have reached the point in our podcast where we get to ask Hannah some questions that we haven't prepared her for. It's the quick fire round. So James, do you want to take it away?
Question number 1. We can drop you off anywhere in the world outside any residence to take family photos. Who and where do you choose?
Oh, wow. Ooh. Need a minute.
I know.
Anywhere in the world? Well, I think if you're paying, James, then I'd like to be dropped off in the Maldives to take a photograph of anybody who lives there.
I love it.
On their doorstep.
I think we'd probably, we could actually probably accompany you on that trip. That
sounds good. Yeah, I think I would need that. Yeah, I would need some.
I need to bring the family as well, because there's no childcare.
No, leave them at home.
So we could be us then.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
So we're planning on holiday to the Maldives then.
In the company jet.
In the company Inspiration North jet. Yeah.
Or you two plan a holiday to the Maldives and take me as your photographer. And I'll take all of your amazing holiday pictures.
Oh, wow.
Maybe that's the future for Hannah Brooke photography.
Oh, no, it's brilliant. Every time we go for walks, I'm just sort of, toddling along, and all of a sudden I'm like, where's James gone? He's back taking photos.
Snails. Post boxes.
Other points of interest.
Should probably do your course, because I don't know enough of how to make things look cool, and Michelle's iPhone's more recent than mine, so it takes a better photo. And
okay.
So always competitive.
Yeah, not competitive at all.
Was that an acceptable answer?
Yeah.
It's a very good one. I like it.
Okay, so my question number 2 is, what household chore is just the worst?
The laundry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of them are just the worst, but that just feels endless.
Yep.
I'm just constantly battling a laundry mountain, which then gets split down into 4 mini mountains. And I just feel like I never get to the end of it.
You stop doing the laundry, then they can't.
Just let them run feral.
Yeah. Yes, my child's got this amazing ability just to wear one thing once. He'll only wear something once and put it in the wash basket.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah, not a fan of household chores, full stop.
Me neither.
So question number 3, what has been your guilty viewing pleasure during lockdown?
Netflix. So that has been, lockdown brought Netflix into the Brooke household. It's never been on our TVs before then, but we got it mainly for the array of children's entertainment it has. But we've enjoyed a few Netflix series. So I watched The Tiger King, but I didn't really.
That was awful.
I didn't really understand the hype. I did enjoy Afterlife with Ricky Gervais, and Normal People. I enjoyed, not on Netflix, but yeah, really enjoyed that. And that was guilty viewing because I had a bit of a crush on like a young. Well, he's a 24-year-old actor. Let's not think too much about the role he's playing.
I know we've just
concentrating on the part when he was at university, not at school.
Bless you. We were into Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Okay.
Oh, it's awful, but addictive.
It's so good.
Really?
So that's on Netflix.
Yeah. What else did we watch? There was one about real estate in Beverly Hills as well.
Selling Sunset.
That's it.
So it's about these get
to see all these really cool houses, but it's
nice.
It's just horrible.
It's a fairly bitchy environment. But some cool houses. You definitely want to take photos outside some of these.
Oh yeah, I bet, yeah. No, and those are the people that would really like screw me down on my prices as well, I bet. But yeah, I haven't really had loads of time to watch TV, to be honest, because evenings tend to be my work time. But yeah, I've made sure to make a bit of time for TV, chilling.
Okay, so if we could get the time machine working and could take you back to your 18-year-old self, just starting university, going to Manakee, what advice would you give to her?
So, I really enjoyed university, but I think I'd give her the advice to maybe put off going and not just go for the sake of it. So, I think my degree certainly didn't do me any harm, but I feel like I could have got everywhere where I got in my career without it as well, just based on experience. That said, university brought me out my shell, so it's one of those where I don't know if the personal skills that I developed during that time make up for everything else. But I'd have sat myself down and talked about what the things that I really loved doing, what I enjoyed, in the same way that I did 20 years later when I was 38. I don't think I would have set up my own business back then, but I'd have probably started working towards doing more of what I loved and not just what I thought I should do or what other people thought I should do. yeah, I'd have definitely asked some strong questions about whether university was totally necessary.
Yeah.
Yep, very valid.
I've got some really cool memories of popping around your house for a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Trying to escape the madness of my house. It's like, go around Hannah's house where it's normal, with normal people.
I'm glad you thought it was normal. Because I didn't. Was that the Halls of Residence house or the...
No, the one at the back of Ashbrook, next to the barn. Yeah, Otter Terrace. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So I'm sure everybody wants to check out your photos now. So what's the best way to find you online?
Probably on Instagram if you have it. So I am at Hannah Brooke Photo, Brooke with an E. But also if you typed the exact same thing into Facebook, you would find me on there, and I'd say I'm equally active on both platforms. Or you can go to my website, which is www.hannahbrookephotography.co.uk.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
So thank you ever so much. It's been awesome catching up.
Thank you for having me. I loved it.
Let's not leave it another 20 years.
No.
Till the next time.
That's the retirement plan.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. It's like 20 years will be really old.
Still think that we're about 25 though in our heads.
I know, let's go find some speakers to dance on. Awesome. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening. Check out all the show notes at inspirationnorth.com. Join us again for the next episode when we'll be chatting to another inspirational person. If you like this, subscribe and tell your friends. If you didn't like this, subscribe anyway and tell everybody.